Right, ladies and gentlemen, now welcome back to the second part of the show. It's better late than never, and that's what the European had to say. And this is what we are doing this morning, ladies and gentlemen, trying to discuss all the matters that pertains to education. And being on a Tuesday, and the last Tuesday for that matter for the 2021 year, we want to take time and analyze and review the entire 2021 year of education. How was it? What are some of the hits and misses in this 2021 year? You know, it all began with the COVID-19 having to disrupt the education calendar. How far have we gotten in terms of adjustments and what needs to be done? Looking also at matters to do with the safety of our children, the CBC in itself, 100% transition. We are now headed to something known as, the junior secondary. How can we get to juggle that as well? And the way forward in 2022, what can we expect out from the 2022 education year? And who else is better placed to have a discussion with me concerning all the matters to do with education than Mr. Mark Otunga, who comes from Delvas Elite Model School here in Mombasa. He will explain himself in details concerning his introduction, but he is my guest this morning. We also anticipated to have another teacher, but unfortunately he hasn't gotten here. But the show must go on together with Mr. Mark Otunga with me in studio. And before I bring him on board, we'd like also to invite you into the show, talk to us, engage with us. What do you think about our topic of discussion? In a nutshell, we are simply asking you, what do you remember most about the 2021 education year? What is the one thing that you can remember most about the 2021 education year? Talk to us. The number is below your screen. Move to all social media platforms. We are live on Facebook as well. You can share your comment on that very same end, and we'll be so glad to hear from you, and we'll be sampling some of your views as we get along with the program. Good morning, Molly.
Good morning, sir.
Good to see you.
I too.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I expected you come with, something for Christmas.
Absolutely, but I've left the reception.
Right, but good to see you.
Yeah.
And then to begin with, how do you feel about this year's festive season? Let's start from there.
Oh, thank you so much. This year, festive season, as per my own view, it was very different from any other year in terms of how people celebrated it, the COVID-19 protocols,
right,
the restriction in movement, the hiking in the transport costs. Therefore, even the hiking in the price of commodities made it a bit different from any other festive season which you have ever celebrated.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And to the most Kenyans that we spoke to, they even said it's different, looking into the fact that last year they were not able to celebrate as much due to COVID-19, and they were thankful that this time round, at least they went out with their family members, mingled with their friends and relatives, to celebrate about that, even despite still we do have COVID-19 numbers in the rise. Is that also a concern to you?
It is, absolutely. The reason why I say so is that yes, people were allowed to mingle with each other, but there were cautions.
Right.
Yeah, they never mingle freely as we have been doing it in our day-to-day norms. That's why I still say that though we were allowed to mingle, move up and down, but still there was some COVID-19 restriction on how to mingle and interact with one another.
Right.
Yeah, but generally, if I may compare this year and last year, I think this year is somehow a bit not as difficult as it was last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
Right, very true. And the festive season, ladies and gentlemen, continues. We're looking forward into ushering the new year, and we'll be here also to cover up some of the happenings in relation to the New Year celebration, so you can be sure to stay put on Boss TV. Mwalimu, if we come back to our topic of discussion this morning, it's all about a review of the 2021 education year. In a nutshell, in a simple sentence, how was it to you?
Personally, it was tricky.
Tricky in terms of?
In terms of, number one, when I talk about the termly calendar, the year started at around July 26th there. Then the kids went to school for around 10 weeks, which has never happened.
Right.
They had a half term of 3 days. Then the school was closed for 2 weeks. That was term 1. Term 2 also, it was very tricky. The kids went to school for 10 weeks. There was also half term of 3 days.
Right.
Then, for the first time in the history of Kenya, schools were closed some days to Christmas Day, which make it very tricky to most of the people.
Right. Right. So that was the trickiest point.
That was the trickiest point. The term was congested with very many activities squeezed together.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say that this year's education calendar was one of the few years that it was quite difficult on the side of you teachers?
Absolutely. I can stand on the ground firmly to support that. It was one of the most trickiest year in the education calendar.
Right.
Yeah. Running with the time, covering syllabus, and all these activities at the same time, it becomes somehow tricky. Yeah.
And looking at the timelines that you've mentioned is quite a matter of concern, looking at how the syllabus was trying to be squeezed so as to be rushed, to be completed, and the timelines were also squeezed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. What difference would it have made if we had to handle this situation differently?
Or if it was to be handled differently, I think the congestion and the rushing of things by the Ministry of Education together with the State Department of other related ministries is the mother of everything that we are seeing happening in the day-to-day life. One of them, I can say that, there before, the teachers and the kids used to be having that humble time for the covering of the syllabus, humble time for the kids at least to revise, humble time to engage in other activities like sports and games, which never happened this year. Therefore, that in mind has brought more problems than good to both the teachers and the pupils in one way or the other.
And this disruption of the 2021 education calendar, do you feel during the time at which you came back, starting from July 26th, like you've mentioned, until now when the schools have been closed and we're looking forward to opening in just a couple of days after the New Year celebration, do you feel it's enough to say that there are proper mechanism, proper strategies and plans set to make sure that the time has been, looked into?
Okay, as per my side and the people who surrounds me, we have come up with the mechanism of adjusting so that we can not be caught outside the syllabus without finishing. Therefore, we are trying to adjust. And that is what I can also tell other colleagues or other stakeholders in the same field that though time may seem to be very short, but what we need to do is to adjust the time and make sure we use each and every single minute available.
Right. And when you're talking about using every single minute available, And that was quite another matter that came on board, looking at how teachers, piled a lot of pressure to the pupils in relation to completion of the syllabus. How was it to your side? And also looking at the ripple effect of that pressure being piled to the students. Don't you think, is what is causing the kind of situation that we're witnessing?
To some extent, it causes, because I also interact with other stakeholders from different places on the reason why these days there are a number of strikes in schools,
Right.
mostly in high schools. And what I was getting from them, that is from pupil, the student side, the teacher side, the parent side, most of them were saying that the time frame which is there is so much squeezed that makes them feel overloaded. That is both the teachers and the pupils, because teachers need to rush, go overboard, extra mile,
Right.
to see to it that they complete the syllabus as directed by the ministry and the heads of those schools.
Right.
It is a pressure on them, which this pressure also trickles down to the students.
Students themselves. Right.
And when it mounts so much, that's where the pressure now bursts.
Right.
Yeah.
But is it true that you had no option, and the only option was to pile the pressure for things to go?
The option which was there was only and only to make sure that we do what is right at the right time. And whatever we are doing, that is the right thing. Yeah.
Right. In simple terms, Mwalimu, do you feel the crisis at which the education sector was brought into due to the COVID-19 was properly managed at the topmost level? Do you feel it was properly managed?
It was not. It was not managed because, there was a lack of information to the people on the ground. Maybe you can say that it was managed at the top part of it, but those were just words. I can say that they were words. They were using words, but no implementation.
Right.
No proper implementation was made. They just give orders that you have to do this, failure to which the repercussions are waiting you. Therefore, with that one, I don't think if it was managed well.
Right.
Whatever they did, it was just giving instructions and directives on how things are supposed to be done. But in my own view, I was of the idea that if they could mobilize the teachers and at least tell them how to tackle these problems or the way to go, then things could have not been the way they were.
Right. Before we even take another short break here, Mwalimu, what are some of the few lessons that were learned out from the disruption of COVID-19 that we can use in the future?
Very many lessons were learned. Number one, COVID-19 brought everything to a standstill. And COVID-19 also brought about e-learning. That is learning from home.
True.
Which never appeared in the Kenyan system or in the dictionary. Therefore, I think that is one of the most advantage that we learned from COVID-19. Another thing that I can say that COVID-19 taught very many people is people are supposed to have plan Bs in life.
Right.
Let's not focus on one thing. During COVID-19, teachers suffered a lot. teachers who are only directing their mind and putting all their eggs on the same basket, that is
Right.
teaching and teaching alone. They went through hell. Therefore, my advice is that we should just have a diversified mind and means of at least getting some little cash outside hustling.
Right.
And that one can help. That is another lesson that COVID-19
Taught us.
Right. Yeah.
And to the peoples themselves, did they have anything to take up from this kind of crisis?
Yeah, they had. To the pupils, most of them, those who are learning from home,
Right.
I think they benefited out of that. But it was also a challenge to less fortune and less privileged people. You know, it was online, and we might not expect all the parents to
Right.
have access to the internet. That was a challenge, but I know from that challenge, now they have learned the positive part of it,
Right.
what they're expected to do.
Right. Of course.
Okay, thank you so much. 100 transition, according to me, it was effective. Why do I say so? I say so because the government used all the available resource persons and the mechanisms to make sure that all the kids are taken to school.
Right.
In fact, even the local administration were used, the chiefs, the assistant chiefs, the village elders, they were used to force, not even to beg, to force kids to go to school, irrespectful of their financial status and the school they were called.
Right.
But I can say that most of the kids joined Form 1.
Right.
Yeah.
And, previously in 2020, there was quite a number of challenges that were experienced during the 100% transition. Do you feel they were fixed in 2021, or still we face the same challenges?
The same challenges are still there. They were never fixed. And if they are fixed, a very small percentage was fixed. Just to touch on a few areas. Number one, when we agree upon 100% transition,
Right.
it means that more students are going to join Form 1. And these high schools, as we are talking, greater percentage or number of them are having less classrooms, meaning that one has led to congestion in classes.
Right.
When there is congestion in classes, it means that there is a lack of desk or the seats.
Right.
There is a lack of learning materials. And also, there is lack of enough teachers to take care of this huge number of the kids who joined Form 1. That is the biggest percentage, biggest problem which was there, and so far it has not been settled fully.
Right.
Yeah.
And going forward in 2022, do you feel there are proper, channels and plans that can fix such a problem, or do you feel it's a problem that we'll have to stay with it?
Yeah, the government promised to see to it that they are going to build enough classrooms, but only for the public high schools. Therefore, we are still waiting for those enough classrooms to be built.
Right.
And if they are not going to be built, we are still going to face the same problem which you have been facing. And in fact, it is going to worsen that it has never been before.
Right.
Yeah.
And to wrap that point of 100% transition, there are those who within the stakeholders in the education sector have mentioned that that directive should it should be squashed off, and it should allow parents to take the students at schools that of their choice, looking into also issues about allowing the private high schools also to get and be enrolled, allow the government to take some of the students to the private secondary schools that we have in the country. Do you think such a proposal can help out in solving some of those challenges that are being faced?
Yeah, it can help, but not so much. It can just help a little bit of it. Because, personally, I have a problem with 100% transition, personally. Why? Because, when we say 100% transition to high school, there are some pupils who are unable to join or to be in a high school. During our time, nobody was allowed to go to the next level if you are still raw. Therefore, I feel that if the parents feel like my son or my daughter is still too raw to go to high school,
right,
then they should be given that chance and opportunity to allow them to repeat, so that they go to the next level when they're fully prepared and ready for that class, other than just taking them because, as we said, 100% transition. It becomes a great problem to them.
Right. So do you feel you agree to that proposal that, to some extent, the government should take it slow in terms of the 100% transition?
Absolutely. That's my take.
Right. And talking about 100% transition, and there is this transitioning that will be happening this year, so to speak, about the thing you were telling me earlier before we got on set here about the junior secondary. How do we go about that, and do you feel, Mwalimu, that our schools are prepared enough for that as well?
No, with the junior schools, they are just going to use the infrastructures which are already there,
in place,
existing. As opposed to the information which we are given before, that the junior schools are going to be separated from the primary section. But the information we got is that they are still going to proceed in their various schools using the same infrastructures which are there.
Right.
Yeah, the classes and the teachers.
So there is no worries at all in terms of
There is
the
no
junior
worry.
secondary?
But my biggest worry is that at least the government should be producing these learning materials for these classes in advance. Like we are told that the junior secondary is going to start absolutely next year. But as you are speaking, there are no learning materials for that particular class.
Right.
Making it difficult for the teachers to prepare for the junior secondary. Therefore, my plea is that the government should ensure that all these learning aid, learning materials are available before they transit to junior secondary.
Right. And listening to you, Mwalimu, with this course at which we are taking currently, we had begun introducing the CBC all the way to starting from the lower grades, and now we are headed to junior secondary, and there are more to come even. Do you feel we are on course and we are on the right path, Mwalimu, as far as the improvement of the quality of education in the country?
Yeah, according to the stakeholders, they say that it has ever worked in other countries. It is the best education system in other countries,
Right.
but not in mostly East Africa. It has never. I think Kenya is the first country to implement it. So, with that in mind, and with the little that you've seen since it was introduced, it can be one of the best system of education. The only problem is how it is being implemented.
Right.
That is the biggest problem. it can be implemented in an orderly manner, step by step, then automatically
Right.
I am for it.
You're for it.
Yeah.
Do you foresee any kind of challenges being faced under the junior schools? Do you see like we may have some kind of problems that we kind of face, and how do we get to fix them, if there is any?
The problems might be there and are going to be there, though we don't know which kind of problems you are expecting. But given that it's a new thing and everybody embraces it, and even as we are talking now, there is a case in the court which is opposing CBC, the existence of CBC.
Right.
Therefore, there's still war of tag between the government, that is the State Department of Education, and the parents' body. And even there are some teachers also went to court with the same issue of scrapping it off. The parents, some parents see it as if it is so much expensive, given that the projects are there almost on a daily basis,
Right.
as opposed to what the CS was telling us. Yes, we can get them locally available, but there are some people who are living in places whereby you cannot access a guad. You are told to come with a guad, traditional artifact. Where will you get it? You're staying in Nyali, they're not there.
Right.
The other people are staying in remote areas. You are given homework to go and do online. You cannot access. Therefore, those are some of the challenges which are there, and we should expect them to be there.
Right.
Until one day they are going to be sorted and solved.
Once and for all.
Once and for all, sir.
And looking at this issue, whole issue of the CBC and how it has gone all the way inside the 2021 education year, would you say that so far things have changed in terms of how it has been received, and people are now slowly learning to understand and embrace CBC, and the parents and teachers are picking up to where they did not even seem to understand? They're now in line with, understanding CBC in itself, and they are supporting the kids and the ministry and the government in general, and charting the way forward with the CBC. Do you think we are now accepting that this is what we have and we should work with it?
Okay. Parents have already started developing that positive attitude, but they're still very far away.
Right.
The teachers also are developing the same. This is due to the trainings which have been going on. But to my side, that training is never enough. I think it always takes place just for hours, at least once per week, which to my side, it is never enough.
Right.
But so far, that attitude, the positive attitude towards CBC has already started changing as to why it was there before. There are some slight benefits that we are seeing. Kids can now take care of themselves. With CBC, it's just what the child can do better.
Right.
Not what the child knows better. It goes with talent and capability of the child.
Right.
Therefore, these things, I think children have been replicating them at home. And therefore, with that one in mind, it has made the parents now to start seeing some little sense in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true. Of course, charting the way forward as far as the CBC is concerned, in 2022, what do you look forward to in line with the CBC?
In 2022, I think if everything is put in place between these three people, that is the government, the teachers and the parents, they come to a consensus and be ready to push this wheel of CBC, automatically, I believe that next year CBC is going to be one of the best curriculum. Only through understanding of each other, without forcing.
Without forcing.
Yeah.
And we know the one who forces.
Yeah.
Right. I want to take a short break here, Mwalimu. When I come back, you'll be telling me now. In this year, we've had a lot talking about the arson attacks, increased in discipline cases among our schools. How do we get to fix that? We don't want to see the kind of incidents that we've witnessed in 2021. We don't want to carry them all the way to 2022. What needs to be done to iron out issues to do with the discipline amongst our schools? That proposal of bringing back the cane in our schools, do you think it's enough? And do you think it is going to work out and solve these all issues? Remember, right, ladies and gentlemen, now we are on the last part of the show. But remember, if you missed the first part and the second part, you can go to our Facebook page. You'll find the entire conversation and you can get to understand what we were talking about here in relation to a review of the 2021 education year. And that is what we are doing here in assistance of my guest, Mr. Mark Otunga, who is a teacher by profession and the current head teacher at Delvas Elite Model School in Mombasa. We'll explain where the school is found at the tail end of our program. But Mwalimu, welcome back to the last part.
Thank you.
And we want to finish on this part that is quite of a concern on how there is quite an increase in discipline cases in our schools, something at which it seems to me that the Ministry of Education, it's a bone for them, too hard for them to chew. Is it the case?
Yeah, the problem has become rampant, and the people to be blamed are very many. Number one, I'll start by blaming the government,
right,
for everything that is taking place. It is the government that scrapped out punishing of kids. After doing that, the kids or the students grew horns, knowing that even if we do anything wrong, nothing is going to be done unto us.
Right.
Therefore, that main problem was brought by the government. And it was very strict that any teacher found caning a child, an action was to be taken against the same teacher.
Right.
Therefore, the kids grew knowing that when I'm caned, I have the right to take the relevant steps. And that was the genesis of everything that we are seeing today.
Right.
The second group to be blamed is the parents. The parents also have played a key role in bringing this problem. Why do I say so? There are most parents who always carry their kids like eggs. And anytime a teacher tries to punish that kid, you'll see the true colors of the parents. You know, there is nothing very wrong like a parent quarreling or threatening a teacher in front of the kid. Automatically, the kid is going to see that teacher as nothing. Therefore, when I do anything wrong, I'm going to call my Mike Tyson, the father, to come and deal with the teacher.
Right.
Therefore, you know, that one has made these kids to develop.
So you want to tell me, like Mwalimu, the current situation that we are witnessing has been breeded right from the onset of when we banned caning and punishment in schools?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you feel now, do we have to bring back the caning in our schools?
The caning won't help so much. What can help currently as things stand, these students need to be talked to. They need to be counseled and at least know the benefits of education. Know why they're supposed to be learning and know where they are heading to.
Right.
You know, the kids whom are coming from well-off families, there are some kids who are just there to get certificate because already there is everything at home.
Right.
Mercedes-Benz is waiting for them. They only have to finish school. Therefore, with them, they don't take education as anything. They take it as a passage of right.
Right.
They have to pass through it. Then another thing that I'll still blame the parents.
Right.
You know, most parents nowadays, there is a word which they normally use, that I don't want my child to pass through what I passed through. I was caned at school, therefore I don't want my child also to be caned. The way I was caned. I was given punishment. You know, in our time, when a child does something wrong, you were to be punished by almost all the teachers in that school. By doing that one, no any child was able to repeat the same mistake.
Right.
Then before, the child was on by even the society or the community. You do any mistake in the village,
Right.
the villagers are going to correct you on the spot. Nowadays, try to just touch somebody's son or daughter.
Right.
You'll find yourself inside. With that one, you know, the kids have grown some plastic horns.
Right.
Because they say that, okay, even if I do this one, I'm going to be protected
Right.
by my parent, by the law of Kenya. We have what is called child's right.
Okay.
Child's right. You do anything, you are still a child. Nothing is going to be done upon you.
Right.
Therefore, this issue of a strike and demolition of things, it is a very extensive thing which need to be looked into, not through caning. It need to be handled with a lot of care
Right.
and wisdom.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true. And some bit of soberness.
Exactly.
True. Last but not least, Mwalimu, I want you to look at that camera and, shed some bit of hope to the peoples, hope to the parents, as well as hope to your fellow teachers in relation to what they can anticipate in 2022. And also you have to mention the school where you come from and where it is found exactly.
Okay, first and foremost, I wish to give all the stakeholders, the teachers, the pupils, the students, and everybody in the Department of Education that the coming year is going to be different from any other year in the school calendars, given that now we know the challenges are waiting, we know the challenges which we've passed through, and also we have the capability of solving or curbing them amicably. Therefore, what I can also add on that is that let us remain vigilant, focused, and believe in ourselves that we are the best, and CBC is the best system of education when implemented by the best people in the society. With that one in mind, I think and I feel that there will be no much problems in the handling of the education system come next year.
Right.
Finally, my names are Mark Otunga, head teacher, Delvers Elite Model School, Mombasa, Magongo, mainland. You are all welcome. My contacts are 07 26 21 27. Wishing you Happy New Year in advance.
Thank you, Mwalimu.